Welcome to Everyday Linux User. In today's video on how to really learn Linux, we're going to get graphical. So to get graphical, we will need a windowing system, and within Linux there are two windowing systems available. There's X11, which is the old school version, and then there's Wayland, which is the newer version. So X11 was created in 1987. It's now a very old code base. It's like a patchwork quilt of different ideas, concepts, coding styles, etc. And as with everything, it needs replacing. And that's what Wayland's come in to do. But that doesn't mean X11 is going away anytime soon. There's so many different window managers and desktop environments that still use it. And Wayland is still in the process of coming along. It's not there yet. It's not where it needs to be to make it completely usable for everyone's purposes. So on top of a windowing system, so which you choose, whether it's X11 or Wayland, that's up to you. And I will do both during the course of this series. I'm going to start with X11 because it will show you some concepts about window managers, etc. But then we'll move on to Wayland at a later point in time. So on top of your windowing system, whichever one you choose to install, you generally use a window manager. And if your X11 is like your car engine, your window manager is like the steering wheel. So the window manager is responsible for the placing of windows, for the resizing of windows, for anything graphical that you see on your screen when it comes to Windows is to do with your window manager. And it provides a layer between your windowing system and you as the user, because you wouldn't want to have to deal with the windowing system yourself. And there's different types of window managers. There's something called a compositing window manager, a stacking window manager, tiling, and then there's some that are specific to Wayland. So we'll start off with compositing window managers. What does that mean? Well, if you think of a window when it's displayed on the screen, if you resize it, then it resizes directly on the screen. So in a stacking window manager, you resize and it will resize on the screen right in front of you. On a compositing window manager, there's a copy of the window hidden in memory, and the developer can do everything off screen. So if you resize the window, it's done in the copy off screen, and once that's finished resizing off screen, it'll display it on screen. So what that means is, if you've got an application that's a little bit slow to respond when you resize the window, then it's not going to show a strange thing on your screen whilst it's doing that. It's going to wait till it's finished doing it off screen and then snap into position on screen. So the benefits of that, of course, are that you don't get any screen glitchy type stuff happening. With non-compositing window managers, say you've got an application and it's going to get data or it's going to do something, and you decide to resize it. By the time you resize it, it's doing something else in memory. It might half resize on the screen. I don't know if you've ever seen it where you drag a window down the screen and it just tiles and tiles and tiles and tiles and tiles because it's waiting for the memory to come back. And that's an example of where a compositing screen manager, a compositive window manager would solve that issue. But that doesn't mean stacking window managers are bad. Stacking window managers are in fact common. So OpenBox, IceWM, Awesome, Enlightenment, they all use stacking. And stacking window managers is similar to what's used in Microsoft Windows and in Mac OS. And then you've got tiling window managers, and the way they work is the windows don't go on top of each other. They tile in such a fashion that they don't cover each other up. And so examples of tiling window managers are i3, Sway, and Qtile. And the reason I've got Wayland at the bottom is not all window managers work for Wayland at the moment, but Sway and Enlightenment are two that do. So a window manager is used for managing windows. So what is a desktop environment? So if you think about all the features of a desktop, so you've got the window manager, which is used for managing windows. You've got a desktop manager, which is used for logging in and for managing sessions. You've got panels at the bottom or top or wherever you want them. You've got icons, you've got toolbars, and you've got other system utilities that you might install, such as file managers, terminal emulators, things like that. And what a desktop environment does, it bundles a load of things together. So you'll have a window manager, display manager, panels, icons, toolbars, and a set of additional utilities. And generally they've done it in such a way that the look and feel is familiar. So examples of desktop environments are GNOME, which is a feature-heavy desktop. It's good for modern machines. It's good for people who want a specific workflow. They don't particularly care about tinkering with making things look the way they want them to look. They're quite happy if this button's here, then you have to click this button. GNOME has a lot of default applications as well, and it's heavily supported. Then you've got KDE, which again is a feature-heavy desktop. It's got a familiar look and feel to it. It's a bit like the old Windows look and feel, but it comes with a huge number of default applications. And you've got Cinnamon. Cinnamon's very similar looking to KDE. For Cinnamon, think about Linux Mint, that uses Cinnamon. Again, traditional menu systems, you get a certain set of applications. And then you come down to things like XFCE, which is lighter, less resource intensive, but it's got a common set of tools and features, panels. And then at the bottom you got LXQT and LXDE, which are very resource light. There's an older look and feel, but doesn't take up nearly as much memory as GNOME. So here we are at the login screen of Debian. This is a virtual machine. If you've been following along with the series, this is the same virtual machine we've been using all along. So we're going to log in. And what we want to do, I'm going to clear the screen here, is we want to install two pieces of software. We need to install Xinit, which enables you to run the startx command, which will start the X display manager. And we want to install IceWM, which is the window manager we're going to be using to start off with. So to do that, all we have to do, I'm going to switch user to the root user. I could use sudo and clear the screen again, and we're going to run one command. We're going to install two pieces of software, so apt install, and we're going to install IceWM and Xinit. So press return. So with those installed, I should now be able to run startx, and you'll see the ICE window manager loads. If I log out of there, if I exit out, back to the login screen, and I log in as Gary again, you'll see that the window manager doesn't start automatically. So to start it each time, I have to type the word startx, which isn't ideal. So to get the window manager to start as soon as you log in, we are going to edit the bash rc script that we had before. And to do that, we type sudo, assuming you've installed sudo, and then it's sudo nano, and then it's bash rc like this. You have to enter your password. And we're going to scroll right down to the bottom, and we're going to type in the following command. If two square brackets and by z display, close the square brackets, and So what we're saying is if there's a display and the display is devtty1, then we're going to start X. So just clear that there, Control O, Control X, and if we reboot and we log in again, you can see that the ICE window manager loads automatically. So we're going to do a little bit more about the Xinit and how that works. To do this, what we're going to do is install another window manager. We're going to install OpenBox. So sudo apt install OpenBox. Press Y. And now when we start X, it boots into OpenBox. What happens if you wanted to boot back into IceWM again? Well, clear the screen, and we can do start X and user bin IceWM. And as you can see, IceWM is again loaded. How can you force which window manager you want to run if you've got more than one installed? Well, there's a file that you can add to your folder. It's called the xinitrc. So what we do is sudo nano and then the tilde symbol /.xinitrc, and this is a standard shell script, and what we're going to do is type exec user bin and IceWM. So this will make IceWM the window manager of choice. Control O, Control X. So if we clear that and we type start X now, you can see it goes into IceWM. So that's how you can do it from the terminal, but if you've been using a Linux a while, you've seen these graphical login screens, and they're called display managers. And there's a number of different display managers around. There's GDM, there's SDDM, but the one we're going to install today is called LightDM. And all we have to do to install LightDM is type sudo apt install LightDM. Now I'm going to clear the screen again, and then there's one more command you have to run to get LightDM to work, and that is sudo vpkg reconfigure, and then you have to type LightDM, and this will make LightDM your default display manager. And now when you reboot, it should reboot and show your display manager. And as you can see, it's booted into LightDM automatically on my machine. Now if I log in as Gary, you'll see that it's defaulted to OpenBox. If I exit out of there, if I go up here, I can switch that to IceWM. And now I'm logged into IceWM. And that's pretty much all I'm going to talk about today. In the next episode, we'll talk about configuring IceWM a bit more. But in today's topics, we've covered what a window manager is, how to install window managers, how to install display managers, how to run the window managers from the command line, how to run it from the display manager, And that is pretty much it. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time on Everyday Linux User.